It's TK Friday. Today I'm doing a full edit with the TK9 plugin for Photoshop. I'll take you step by step through the process and show you how I build the image from start to finish. Hello everyone and welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. It is TK Friday, my favorite day of the week, and I hope it is yours too. Today I'll be working on this image sent in by Tony Nicolaci, and I'm calling this one Glow on the Horizon. We've got a beautiful sky here, and we'll use the TK9 plugin for Photoshop to bring it out. By the way, if you have an image you would like me to edit on a TK Friday, go to the description of this video, scroll down through, you're going to find a Contact Me link. Contact me and we can discuss doing one of your images on a TK Friday. By the way, if you don't yet own the TK9 plugin for Photoshop, there's a great sale going on over at Tony Kuiper's web store. You can purchase any of the TK products and save 25% off your entire purchase. To get the 25% off, just use my promo code DK15. For this entire month, DK15 equals 25% off. And when you use my promo code, I make a small commission, and this helps to support my channel, so I appreciate it. The 25% off is because of the launch sale of the new TK Grayscale plugin for black and white conversions in Photoshop. It's bundled together with a Magic Mixer. If you already own the Magic Mixer, it's a free update for you. You're going to get TK Grayscale, and if you don't have the Magic Mixer, this is a good time to purchase because not only do you get the Magic Mixer, but you get TK Grayscale along with it. And don't forget, use my promo code DK15. That gives you 25% off your entire purchase, and that runs till the end of September. So this is a good time to get any TK products that you want. Well, let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, as always, I start out here in Lightroom Classic. I'm using a linear profile in this image. I want the image relatively flat going into Photoshop because that'll be a great starting point to fully develop this image using the TK9 plugin for Photoshop. After adding that profile, I click on Auto, and then I just make sure I'm not clipping my whites and blacks, and I don't do really much at all. For detail, I used Lightroom's AI denoise, no sharpening on the image, and for lens corrections, I always check on Remove Chromatic Aberration, Enable Profile Corrections. And then for transform, I just clicked auto just to make sure my horizon was nice and straight. And then I did do a crop in this image. I thought this would look nice with a nice 16:9 cinematic crop. So that's what I did. But that is everything I did here in Lightroom. And now all I need to do is right click on the image, go to Edit In, and click on Edit in Photoshop 2025. Now, just as always, I want to do a balance and contrast adjustment of sky and foreground just to make sure the sky and foreground look like they fit together in the image and work on the contrast. And this will give me a good starting point to know where I need to take this image. By the way, you can download the image and the PDF notes and give this edit a try. For the opening balance and contrast, I'm just going to use a Photoshop action, the BNC landscape action. I'm going to click on this. Now the PDF notes show you how to do this all manually, just in case you don't have the BNC landscape action. And notice I have two color grading layers here, one for foreground, one for sky. And if I click this button on the Combo or CX panel, you can see what that foreground mask looks like. And if I click on the sky mask, you can see what that mask looks like. Basically, both of these masks are intersected with a midtones 3, and that just protects shadows and highlights from getting clipped in case I get a little too aggressive with my adjustments, but that's all they're there for. I'll start out with the foreground. I'll click this midtone button, and what I want to do is take this brightness slider. We're going to drag it to the right to open up those midtones, and I'm going to take it over to right here, 56. Now, I want to give it a slight warm color grade, so you see my cursor. I'm going to click like right about here. Now, you can click anywhere on this color wheel and add that color grade, but I wanted this nice bit of a warm color grade. Now we'll work on shadows. Click on the shadow button. I don't want to go too crazy here. I just want to darken up my shadows a little bit, and I'll take this slider over to right there, -12. Just a little bit of darkening of shadows. And now let's click on the highlight button, and let's open those highlights up a good bit. So I'm going to drag this slider to the right, and we're going to take it over to right there, 46. Now let me shut off this layer. Here is before and here's after. Already, I think that looks really nice. And now for the star of the show, and that is the sky. So let's click on the sky layer. We'll start out with midtones. I'll click in the midtone button, and what I want to do here is just slightly open up the midtones. Not too much, just a little bit to the right, over to right there, +8. Now let's click on the highlight button. Let's open up those highlights a good bit. I'm going to drag this over to the right, and we're going to take it over to right there, 49. And now let's work on the shadows. So click on the shadow button. I want to deepen up those shadows in the sky just to bring out some drama, and we'll take this over to right there, -19. Now let's shut off the sky layer. Here's before, here's after. Already, that's really making that sky start to pop out, and I really like that. But I tell you what I forgot when I was working on midtones. I'm going to click on the midtone button. I want to give that a little bit of a color grade, so I'm going to click like right about here. That little color grade makes all the difference. Now let's see where we started from. On the Conversation panel, we'll click this button. We started out here, and now we end up here. So we're off to a really good start. The next thing I usually like to try in a landscape image is to bring up some mid-tone contrast, and it will really help this image. And it's just going to be a slight amount. It's really going to pop the color a little bit. Let me show you how we do it. Let's get this color grading tool out of the way by clicking the X. Nothing changes on the color grading layers. I need a curves adjustment layer, so we're going to click this button. We have a curves adjustment layer, and then come to the multi-mask panel and click this button. When you do, you'll get the adjust layer mask panel. The reason I like this panel is because it lets you sample out any of these different luminosity masks, darks, lights, or midtones. Let's experiment. Let's start out by clicking on Mids 1. In the Curves property panel, see where it says preset? Click this drop down. You have a bunch of different presets in here, and you have a bunch of contrast presets. And I just want a slight contrast adjustment, and linear is a good one to try. So let's click on linear contrast. Watch the image when I do this. You don't see much change there, right? But watch what happens when I click on Mids 2. You can see a little change. Now let me click on Mids 3. Now we're seeing more change. Let me shut off this layer. Here's before, here's after. See how the colors just pop, and we get a little bit of beautiful mid-tone contrast. But this panel lets you sample out any type of a mask on any layer, which is really cool. Now I don't need this panel anymore, so I'll click the X to close it. Now I want to protect darker tones in this image, so what I'll do is come to the multi-mask panel. We'll click on this button here to go into Edit Blend If, and watch the image. I'm going to click No Darks 2, and that keeps the darker tones from getting too dark. Do you see this gray checkbox? It's checked on right now. That means Blend If is applied to the layer. I'm going to shut it off and watch the image. Here's before and here's after. It's subtle, but it makes a nice little difference. And I'll tell you what, a lot of minimal changes to an image really add up to make a really fine final edit. I'm done with this Edit Blend If panel, so I'll click the X because I need to get to the multi-mask panel. Now I'm looking at the sky, and what I want to do is a lot of these lighter warm tones in here I want to emphasize a little bit more, and to do that I'll use a color balance adjustment, but first I need to target the light areas. So come up to the multi-mask panel, click the Luminosity mask button, and I'm looking for light tones. Right now we're seeing Lights 1. Let's go to Lights 2. I think Lights 2 really targets the areas. All the light areas in here are sitting in that Lights 2 area, and that's the areas I want to target. But I only want this to happen in the sky, so what we're going to do is click on the mask calculator. I love the mask calculator. If you do too, let me know in the comment section below. Hey, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This really helps to support my channel when you do that, so thank you. And leave comments and questions. I love to hear from you. What we want to do is click the X button to intersect, and then we're going to go up and click on this button for my channels. We want to work in the sky, so we're going to click on the sky button, and now we're going to make the calculation by clicking equal, and now we have Lights 2 only targeted in the sky, so that's pretty nice. And now we need to output this to a color balance adjustment. So click the hamburger menu and look for the color balance, which is right here. Give that a click. And now you can see we have a color balance adjustment layer. Now I want to work in highlights. Right now this is set for midtones. This is a drop down. You have shadows, midtones, and highlights. So click on highlights. And what I want to do is take the cyan red slider and shift it more towards red. You see what that's doing? It's putting that nice red glow up there in the sky, and I want to take it over, not too far, but right here to +18. I don't want to do anything with magenta or green, but I do want yellow and blue, not blue, but yellow. So we're going to shift this more towards yellow. I'll drag this slider to the left, and you see that beautiful yellow glow going up there in the sky. And I'll take this over to right there, -15. Now let me shut off this layer. Here's before, here's after. Isn't that pretty cool? That sky is really starting to glow. But let's not stop here. I want to work in the shadows in the sky. There's a lot of blues and cyans up in there, and we're going to target those next. Come back to the multi-mask panel, click on the luminosity mask button. This time we want darks, so let's click on darks 1, darks 2. I'm looking for really dark darks. Here's darks 3. Okay, see all these light gray areas? These are the areas I want to target. Now I'm going to use the mask calculator again. So click on the mask calculator button, click X to intersect because I want to intersect that sky. Click on the My Channels button, very simple. Click on sky. And click equal, that makes the calculation. And now we've targeted that area. And again, we're going to output that. Click on the hamburger menu and click on the color balance button. And now we have a color balance adjustment layer here with that darks 3 mask. The color balance always defaults to midtone, so click the drop down and click shadows this time. And now we want to work on the shadows, and blues and cyans are what I'm looking for. I'll start with cyan. I'll drag this slider to the left. See how it's pulling in the cyans? And you don't want to go too crazy here. I want to go to right here, -21. And now let's work on blues. Let's shift this yellow blue slider towards blue. Not too much. We'll drag it to the right over to right there, +9. Now let me shut off this layer and look at the sky. Here's before, here's after. Isn't that pretty? I really love this. And now let's turn our attention to the water. We have this beautiful sunlight coming across the water here, so let's bring that out. Come up to the multi-mask panel and click the luminosity mask button again. Right now we're in lights 1. Let's click on lights 2. I think lights 2 is going to target this nicely, but let's do a little refinement. Click this button. This gives us a levels adjustment, and what I want to do is take the highlight slider and drag it to the left. I'm going to take it over to right there, 145. Now I want to tighten this up. I'll take the shadow slider, we'll drag it to the right, and we'll take it over to right there, 20. See how it really targets those light areas in the water? Pretty cool. I don't want the sky, so click on the mask calculator button. Now we could click minus and subtract out the sky, or we could click X and then go to My Channels and intersect the foreground by clicking this button right here. Now you got to make the calculation, so click equal. And now we have it. Now there's a few issues here. We're getting a little bit of the sky right in here. We can take that out. So click on the black brush. Make sure your brush opacity is at 100%. If not, type your 0 key. And now with a nice soft edge brush, let's just paint off that sky right up in there. We'll paint this off too. Now you see this area right here. It's a little too light. So I'm going to go to a 10% brush opacity. I'll type my 1 key. And what I want to do is just kind of like taper this off right here. I'm just painting over this, lifting the brush, painting again. I just want to dull that area down. I might even dull some of this area down to really sculpt the light to go back into the sun. So I may tone this down just a little bit in here as well. And maybe over here, just like so. I think that should be good. And now we can output this. And I want a color grading tool because I want to color grade that light in the water. So we're going to click this button right here. And now we have a color grading tool there. Let's click on the midtone button. I want to open up those midtones, and we're going to open them up to right there, 27. Now I want to add a little bit of a color grade. So I think I'm going to click right around here. And now let's work on the highlights. So click on the highlight button, and we're going to really open up those highlights over to right there, 56. Now let me shut off this layer. Look at the water. Here's before, here's after. Isn't that nice? That nice sunlight is adding that glow in the water right there. Here's a little tip. If you want to see it before and after this highlight adjustment or any adjustment on the color grading tool, hover over the handle and right click. There's the before, and now left click. There's the after. Just don't move that cursor. If you do, you may have to retouch that adjustment a little bit. I don't need this color grading tool. I'll click the X to close it. And now what I want to do is just kind of burn some of the shadows in the water here just to bring some nice texture into that water. Come up to the multi-mask panel, click on the luminosity mask button, and I want to target shadows. Let's click on darks 1. There's darks 1. Here's darks 2. And I think darks 2 is going to work. These light areas will be the dark areas. I won't even refine it. I want to output this to a burn tool. You can use the left or right side. I'm just going to use the left side. That gives us a 50% gray layer in the soft light blend mode with a black brush. I want to use a very low opacity of 10%. And right now I'm at 10%. If you're not, just type your 1 key. And with a small soft edge brush, just look for some shadows and start to paint on some shadows. Now, if you paint, lift your brush and paint again, or unclick your mouse and then click and paint again, it'll get a little darker. So you can build up some areas a little stronger than others, and then use your artistic license here. Just look for all those dark areas. I'm going to finish this off and get back to you and show you my final result. And now for the final result. This is before and this is after. See how that really brings some nice textures out in the water. The next thing I want to do is bring up some detail in the rocks, and to do that we'll use the Camera Raw filter. On the combo or CX panel, click this button right here, Cam Raw. Click on the effects group, and what we want to do is add some texture. So we're going to take the texture slider. I'm going to add a good bit, and I'll take it over to right here. And now let's add some clarity. We'll drag the clarity slider over to right there. And then I want just a little bit of negative dehaze, just so those shadows don't get too dark. And I'll take it to right there, -11. And now you're probably thinking, Dave, you've gone way too far. You've destroyed this image, but I'm only looking at the rocks. So let's click OK. That'll send us back into Photoshop. Now let's hide the ugliness by clicking this button on the Combo or CX panel. That puts a black hide all mask there. And now with a white brush, if you don't have a white brush, click on this button right here on the Combo or CX panel. That gives you a white brush. Now I want 100% opacity, soft edge. Right now you'll notice I'm at 10% opacity. I'll type my 0 key. That gets me 100%. And with that nice small soft edge brush, just start to paint on that beautiful detail on these rocks. I'm going to continue to paint on here. Back here, I'm going to lower my opacity to like 20%, make the brush a little smaller, and just paint on some of these areas. I'll finish this off and get back to you and show you my final result. Now, look at the rocks, and I also painted on the sand a little bit. This is before. Let me turn this layer on, and here's after. Again, before and after. And if I click on the double arrow button, you can see the mask. That's how I've painted that. These lighter gray areas are like that 20%. I'll click this button again and we'll go back to the image. If you'll look at these rocks, and it might be hard to tell, there is some green moss on these rocks, and we can bring that up, and we'll use a color mask to help us. Come up to the multi-mask panel, we'll click this button right here, and a color picker comes up, and let's sample some of the green color right here, and we'll click OK. It's hard to see, it's very faint, but it's right there. If you double click the levels button, you'll get an auto adjustment. See how that lightens up in there? And now let's take this brightness slider and let's drag it the whole way over to the right there. See how it really lightens up that rock? Actually, the moss on the rock. And now get a lasso tool and just lasso around this area. And then on the multi-mask panel, click this button to mask the mask. And then a Gaussian blur dialog comes up. We don't need to put a blur on here. Right now there's no blur. You can drag this radius slider up to get a blur. We don't need it. Just click OK. And now we're only selecting that area. And now we can output this to a hue saturation adjustment layer because we want to work on color. So we'll click this button. Now look at the moss on the rocks as I drag up the saturation from the hue saturation adjustment layer. See how I'm bringing up that moss? Isn't that cool? And I want to bring it up to like right there, 74. Now let me shut off this layer. Here's before and here is after. So we brought up that moss. Now, as I study this foreground area, I just want to darken down some of the darkest darks, just a little wee bit. Come up to the multi-mask panel and click on the Luminosity mask button. I'm looking for darks. Here's darks 1. Here's darks 2, here's darks 3, and I think darks 3 is going to be the one. I only want the foregrounds, to click on the mask calculator button. You could click minus to subtract the sky or X to intersect the foreground. Let's click minus. Click on the My Channels button. Let's click on sky. Let's click on equal, and now the sky is taken out. I'll use the color grading tool to make the adjustment, so click this button. I'll click the midtone button, and I want to darken up the midtone, so we'll start to move this slider to the left, and I'll take it over to right there, -25. Now let's click on the shadow button. I just want to lift the shadows up a little bit. See this point right here? It'll lift up when I move this to the right, and I want to take it over to right there. I don't want those really dark shadows getting too dark. Let's see it before and after. I'll shut off this layer. Here's before and here's after. Yeah, I really like that result. Let's go ahead and add a vignette. If your TK actions aren't open on your combo or CX panel, click a TK button, click vignette. a Gaussian blur dialog comes up, I always just click OK. Let me shut this off. Here's before, here's after, but I want to keep it out of the lightest lights and the darkest darks. So here's what we can do. Right now, my color grading tool's in the way. Click the X, close the color grading tool down. Nothing changes on color grading layers. Click the Edit Blend If button, and we have this button right here. No darks 2, no lights 2, or no darks 1, no lights 1. I tried them both. I ended up using no darks 2, no lights 2, so I'll click this button. And now the lightest lights and the darkest darks are protected from the vignette. And now let me shut off the vignette. Here's before and here's after. I do like the vignette. And as I study this edit, I'm looking at this light area right along the shoreline right here. To me, it's a little too light. I want to dull it down. So I'll use a zone mask to help me target that area. Right now, my Edit Blend If panel's in the way. I'll click the X. We'll click on the zone mask button. The color picker comes up, and I'm going to target this light area like right here and click OK. I'll take this tighten slider and we're going to drag it over to the left to tighten that up a little bit. Maybe to right there should be good. I'm not going to touch the brightness slider, and I want to output this to a burn tool. Now, this is one time where it will matter if you use the left or the right side of the burn tool. You want to use the right side, so click on the right side. What you're going to get is a blank pixel layer in the soft light blend mode. You have a black brush. And now 10% opacity with a nice soft edge. Right now I'm at 20%. I'll type my 1 key. I just want to paint over this area here. It's targeting that light area. And what's happening is I keep going over it. See how it gets more saturated? That's where this particular right side of the burn tool is going to make all the difference in the world. I'm just going to tone this whole area down a little bit to maybe somewhere right about here should be pretty good. Now, hold down your Command or Control key and click right here. You'll load this as a selection. You can see the marching ants right here. And now come up to the multi-mask panel and click the Hue Saturation Adjustment button. We're targeting that area we burned. We can take this saturation slider, move it to the left, and just decrease that saturation till it looks natural. And I think maybe right here at -56. Now let me shut off both of these layers. Here's before and here's after. See how that tones that area down? I like that much better. Now, one final step. You see where this light is coming from the sun here? It looks a little unnatural. I think it needs to be a little bit lighter to really show that it is sun coming through. And to do that, we're going to use the luminosity mask. I'll click this button right here. And we're at lights 1. Here's lights 2. Here's lights 3. Here's lights 4. See, it really targets that area nicely. And now get a lasso tool and just lasso around this area right here. Click the mask button. We don't need a Gaussian blur. Just click OK. Let's output this to a hue saturation adjustment layer. I want to increase the lightness because that is sun coming through the clouds right there. So I'll take it over to like 38. Now, it's not going to be as saturated because when you have a lot of light, you have less saturation. So let's pull back the saturation a little bit and we'll take it back to right there, -15. Now let me shut this off. Here's before, here's after. See, that looks more the way the sun would look in this area coming through the clouds. Again, here's before and here's after. I really like it. And that is the final edit. Now let's see an overall before and after. On the Converse AX panel, click this button. We can see that we started out here and now we end up here. And I'm really happy with the way this turned out. And I do hope that you give this edit a try. And don't forget, you're going to find Dropbox links in the description below this video. You can download the image and the PDF notes. Well, there it is, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's TK Friday. If you enjoyed today's full edit, please give this video a like and share it with your friends. And if you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe. Click that bell notification icon. Click all so that you receive all notifications. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll get notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. And I will see you all right here next time. But until then, happy editing.